Alright. What? Oh, that's better this time.
You turned on one light.
Hey
guys, and welcome to our review. Shut the fuck up. Hey guys, and welcome to our review of Ultraman Zett, episode 14. I'm your host, Cinder Blaze. With me today we have
Frozen Stratos.
And I'm Aerosol.
Welcome back. Before we jump into things, check our description down below. We got some fun stuff down there. Maybe a little BLM link to help support the cause. Check it out. Alright, this episode, it was a little weird. I felt like it felt like a different episode, throughout beginning, middle, and end. We're just kind of having this somber send off for Sevenger, which looked like a funeral, to be honest. And then all of a sudden Haruki kind of visits his father towards the end of the episode and resolves that whole conflict that we had for the last 3 or 4 episodes instantly, which was sweet, but it was just it was entertaining, but I don't know how to feel about it in one go.
I get what you're saying, that there were a lot of different things this episode was doing. You thought, oh, okay, so this is just a fun celebration episode. Oh, wait, no, then it turns into a time loop episode. Wait, no, this is actually Haruki working on his issue with killing monsters. Oh, wait, no, I don't know. There were a lot of things, but it was unique. The fights were a little strange, but the episode was definitely not something I was expecting with what the setup was.
Yeah, honestly, I love the fights. Every time the red guy shows up, especially if it's the derpest villain, and he just goes full batshit crazy.
He just jumped in from off screen yelling his own name as he just elbow dropped the monster. It was pretty good.
And then he decided to yank out all of the kitchen supplies from the holes of the monster. He had, for whatever reason, 2 of the longest whisks you could possibly find.
I mean, whatever shoots lightning, you know?
Yeah. Or whatever arrow decides to, spin around and fire a spinny laser?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
I get that, all these villains are not necessarily repurposed, but remade older ones, but
Yeah. I think this one goes as far back as the first series.
Oh wow. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, I can kind of see where you're coming from when you say that the fights were weird. It's mostly because the thing has no arms or legs or head or anything. It's just this mass that's sort of rolling around and rolling over Ultraman's head a few times, which was odd, but
it's just how Toku be sometimes. I get it.
I kind of like what they were calling fourth dimensional shenanigans. I like that they eventually explain that it's kind of keyed into their subconscious. So it's not really a time loop thing. It's just it's kind of in their head.
Yeah, they. Oh, go ahead. Oh, yeah, they heavy-handed the whole way they were gonna resolve this issue. Just you know what? We don't know how to create this with the rules that are already established. So we're gonna create a monster, and if you will it, he will create the setting for you, the perfect setting. When your dad is going to go fetch that ball, that setting, that's.
Well, I mean, we know it was a space and time distortion thing, so we did, I'm sure, actually go all the way back. Same with he wanted to keep going back to that time before he ate the food, and he kept running into that loop, and everyone else was So he was moving through time, but other people were not.
But like they kind of had to like shoehorn this like monster in like for this specific purpose, kind of.
Sure, but it worked in the sense that it showed us what our characters were thinking, what they needed, and how they were able to sort of fix it, or at least for Haruki, because something that I wasn't even aware of, but is starting to make sense. Like, was it not Yuka?
Yoko,
yeah. She didn't want to pilot
King Joe.
King Joe, yeah. So what?
Oh, didn't she want to go to like the Wyndham or something like that? Like just not that specific robot.
I don't know. I thought
to go to Wyndham.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I saw it as, even if she does want to carry that burden of, murdering these monsters that have families, it's not necessarily something she takes joy in.
Yeah.
There's also like, we got a good example of how powerful King Joe can be, and they establish at the beginning of the episode that like other countries and other places were questioning them about King Joe and like looking into it. So I can understand why she'd be like, maybe this thing's not good for us to have. Because it is just a weapon. It's just a really powerful weapon.
Yeah. And like especially at like this point in like the series where that kind of power is kind of like uncalled for. If we have like larger threats that we need a King Joe, then I guess it like be a little more justified. But our villain of the series, I guess, is just kind of like sitting on his ass, or
like
where else would he be sitting? But like, like with the way he just kind of like showed up in this episode, he just kind of like woke up and he's like found these 2 fruits from like Helheim and was just like.
I'm pretty sure those were the Grantor stones that the Cure Majors were looking for.
Yeah, like he's
it was funny how like we've been talking like, oh yeah, we completely forgot this show had a villain. He just shows up as if nothing was different, like as if he had been there this whole time.
Yeah.
And we're just supposed to, not bat an eye. Where have you been, dude?
Like literally, if Juggler wasn't there to kind of like acknowledge his existence, I would have just been like super pissed off at like him just pretending that he was a villain. It's like, no, like, you totally dropped off. Like you don't deserve that title anymore. But like if Juggler's going there, he's like, you know what? I like your stuff. I kind of want to like see where you're going with this. Then I'm like, okay, if he says so, and I like him, I'm gonna trust this guy just for a little bit longer.
Right, if this guy vouches for you, I guess you're all right.
Yeah. Do you guys have any other?
Oh, I was gonna ask, what did we think of the Haruki stuff and how that was sort of? Was that? Are we calling that wrapped up for him and that whole mental thing he was going through with not wanting to kill monsters?
I feel like it probably is. I don't know how much this is going to carry forward as far as like a change in his character, but it seemed like he came to the answer that he wanted or that he needed.
I feel like it was just the answer that the show needed.
Yeah. I mean,
rather than, because like that dilemma, I don't know if you can resolve it and be like, hey, save who you can, and then, the other ones you just remember. Like, you are actively killing these creatures still. And I don't know that is still as applicable. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I feel like Haruki has the opportunity to do so. He could spare one of the kaiju. Like, especially with, like, G just kind of, like, hovering around this show as much as he did. And, like, spoiler alert, G does kind of, like, he doesn't, like, just, like, outright, like, kill like Belial at the end, kind of like forgives him and not forgives him, but like accepts
What, a
him.
mercy kill?
It was like a weird like
it is kind of a mercy killing, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's weird.
I mean, like, he goes around all the time saying, just let my dad rest. Oh, even in death, he can't rest. Like, his essence is being stolen and used for evil purposes.
A lot of that final fight was him, like, looking through his dad's history and seeing what he went through. And it's like, okay, I understand why you are this way.
Yeah.
Like, you can rest now. Just let it end.
Yeah, being possessed by an alien really messes up your life. Yeah, so like I feel like Zett does have the opportunity to kind of like play with this a little bit more, but I feel like while we're heading into like the second half of the series, we're not going to worry about it while the plot's kind of like running or while setting up.
I think it could affect some of his choices going forward, but I don't think we're going to like stall anymore.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. But then shoot. Oh yeah, like we had the little moment between the two of them last episode. Where he was like, okay, I see that you're having issues now. I will consider this. And then this episode, we get an entire thing of like, hey, we're recapping the episode not even last week, just the week before. So we're not even going to acknowledge the filler episode. The clip episode. And then we're also not even going to acknowledge the important discussion. I mean, I don't even want to say it was an important discussion that they had. It was just, him acknowledging it. Like, this episode, they just glossed over it, and he was like, oh, you look like you found out whatever you needed. I guess we're good here. Awesome. And, like, I feel like if the, at least some of the wisdom had to have come from Zett for this to work for me.
I don't
but then it did
that like a source of wisdom like just yet, because he's still like the rookie trainee under Zero, and like he shows like how much of a novice he is. Like he's a skilled fighter for sure, but like like mentally he's not like.
But he has been around long enough to like have built a moral compass, because he's wholesale murdering these animals too, and he's had to have come across this.
For an Ultra, he's pretty young.
Yeah, sure.
5,000 is not old for them.
Okay. It's strange to me that, once again, you have someone with you at all times, and you're not consulting with them.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree. I would like to have more interaction, but it does kind of seem like at this point in the series, that's probably not where their focus is lying.
Sure.
Like, maybe if like an older Ultraman comes in, they might be able to talk to him about it. Like, G's coming next week, so if there's any leftover like qualms about it, you just let him know, and if he doesn't talk to him about it, then I don't expect.
Could you take that up with your supervisor? Actually, I don't know that I can I can handle this one.
He's like, yeah. So do you just like kill like a bunch of kaiju like all the time? It's like, yeah, just get used to it. I've never thought about it this hard, but teach their own. See, you guys had any final thoughts for this episode before we wrap things up?
I'm good for the comments.
All right, I had them up. I was trying to transition towards some, but there it is. Please load them. While
I have it right here if you want.
All right.
Hero Gangster says 2 clip show episodes means more budget for even more cameos than usual. That city view of the fight makes me hope Shin Ultraman keeps the action hyper like the shows. Shin Ultraman keeps the action hyper like the shows, and also the ending song basically feels like Zett's character song. Sorta what I wanted from the show, Zett showing himself off more.
Yeah.
I forgot that we had a new ending.
I didn't listen to it.
I remember us like commenting on that and the opening because I think we had a different verse for the opening.
Different verse for the opening, it sounded like, yeah.
And I guess we just don't pay attention to the lyrics at all, so we wouldn't be able to tell. Like, even if it's a different song, like, we're just so kind of like tuned out to, like, those parts of Ultraman that we just couldn't give you like a good comment about it. All right. Well, that's it for our review. I mean, I'm just gonna wrap these up real fast.
Won't even discuss it too much. We'll fly right through.
I mean, if we didn't listen to the ending, then what can we say? All right. Yeah. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that other stuff. Don't just don't. Check our description down below for all the stuff that's down below, and we'll catch you next time.
Keep it.
Bye. You were like short circuiting there for a second.
I know. Are you okay?
What? It's just a minor stroke.
Minors shouldn't be having strokes.
Yeah.